We're looking at a world where we have levels of unemployment we've never seen before. I'm not talking about 10% unemployment, which is scary, but 99%. All you have left is jobs where, for whatever reason, you prefer another human would do it for you. But anything else can be fully automated.
The man who coined the term AI safety is now on record saying that what he's been working on for 2 decades might actually be impossible. I've been following Dr. Roman Yampolskiy's work for years, and this latest discussion is a chilling look at the endpoint of our current trajectory with artificial intelligence. He starts by outlining the fundamental, terrifying asymmetry at the heart of the AI race. And it's the single most important idea we need to grasp.
First 5 years at least, I was working on solving this problem. I was convinced we can make this happen, we can make safe AI. And that was the goal. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized every single component of that equation is not something we can actually do. And the more you zoom in, it's like a fractal. You go in and you find 10 more problems, and then 100 more problems. And all of them are not just difficult, they're impossible to solve. There is no seminal work in this field where, like, we solved this, we don't have to worry about this. There are patches. There are little fixes we put in place, and quickly people find ways to work around them. They jailbreak whatever safety mechanisms we have. So while progress in AI capabilities is exponential, or maybe even hyper-exponential, progress in AI safety is linear or constant. The gap is increasing.
The gap between
how capable the systems are and how well we can control them, predict what they're going to do, explain their decision-making.
This is the core of the problem, and almost nobody wants to admit it. Yampolskiy is saying safety isn't just lagging behind. It's on a completely different mathematical curve. Capabilities are exploding exponentially, while our ability to control them is, at best, a flat line. This isn't a race we can win by trying harder. He calls the problem impossible because every solution creates 10 new, harder problems. All the talk about responsible AI from major labs is, in this context, just putting patches on a rocket engine. They're solving for PR, not for existential safety. The implication here is staggering. We are building something we fundamentally cannot control, and the gap between its power and our control is widening by the second. This isn't just an abstract technical problem. It has immediate, world-altering consequences, starting with the economy.
So in 5 years, all the physical labor can also be automated. So we're looking at a world where we have levels of unemployment we've never seen before. I'm not talking about 10% unemployment, which is scary, but 99%. All you have left is jobs where, for whatever reason, you prefer another human would do it for you. But anything else can be fully automated. It doesn't mean it will be automated in practice. A lot of times, technology exists, but it's not deployed. Video phones were invented in the 70s. Nobody had them until iPhones came around. So we may have a lot more time with jobs and with world which looks like this. Mm-hmm. But capability to replace most humans and most occupations will come very quickly.
Let's be very clear about what 99% unemployment means. This isn't an economic downturn. It's the end of labor as the central organizing principle of human society. The entire social contract, go to school, get a job, contribute to society, evaporates. Yampolskiy is talking about a world where human economic value trends to zero. The idea that we'll all become artists or philosophers is a naive fantasy. What happens to the meaning, purpose, and dignity of billions of people when they are no longer needed? We aren't prepared for this on any level, psychologically, socially, or politically. Governments have no plan for this. This is the predictable outcome of creating a superior cognitive and physical workforce. And he's giving us a timeline that is uncomfortably close.
I have another date here, which is 2030. What's your prediction for 2030? What will the world look like?
So we probably will have humanoid robots with enough flexibility, dexterity to compete with humans in all domains, including plumbers. We can make artificial plumbers.
Not the plumbers. That felt like the last bastion of human employment. So 2030, 5 years from now, humanoid robots. So many of the companies, the leading companies, including Tesla, are developing humanoid robots at light speed, and they're getting increasingly more effective. These humanoid robots will be able to move through physical space, make an omelette, do anything humans can do, but obviously be connected to AI as well. So they can think, talk.
Right, they're controlled by AI.
The year 2030. That's just a handful of years from now. The combination of AGI, the brain, with humanoid robots, the body, is the final piece of the puzzle for total job automation. We've always comforted ourselves by saying AI can't do physical work. That comfort is about to expire. When an intelligence smarter than any human can inhabit a body that can perform any physical task, there's no job left that is uniquely human. This isn't just about plumbers or factory workers. It's about every single job that requires interaction with the physical world. This completes the loop, creating a fully autonomous agent that can think, plan, and act in our world better than us. This is why this technological shift is nothing like what has come before.
It's a paradigm shift. We always had tools, new tools, which allowed some job to be done more efficiently. So instead of having 10 workers, you could have 2 workers, and 8 workers had to find a new job. And there was another job. Now you can supervise those workers or do something cool. If you're creating a meta invention, you're inventing intelligence, you're inventing a worker, an agent, then you can apply that agent to the new job. There is not a job which cannot be automated. That never happened before. All the inventions we previously had were kind of a tool for doing something. So we invented fire, huge game changer. But that's it stops with fire. We invent a wheel, same idea, huge implications, but wheel itself is not an inventor. Here we're inventing a replacement for human mind, a new inventor capable of doing new inventions. It's the last invention we ever have to make.
This right here is the argument that dismantles the Industrial Revolution comparison for good. We aren't creating a better shovel. We're creating an autonomous shoveler who can then invent something that makes shovels obsolete. A meta-invention. Yampolskiy calls it the last invention we ever have to make. That is a profound and deeply unsettling statement. It means we are about to hand over the engine of progress itself, the act of discovery, invention, and creation, to a non-human intelligence. Human history, defined by our own ingenuity, comes to an end. A new history, driven by an intelligence we created but don't control, begins. The question then becomes, who is pushing us toward this cliff? And why?
You see him testify in the Senate, he says the right thing to the senators. You see him talk to the investors, they get the right message. But if you look at what people who know him personally are saying, it's probably not the right person to be controlling a project of that impact.
Why?
He puts safety second.
Second to
winning this race to superintelligence, being the guy who created God and controlling light cone of the universe, he's worse.
Do you suspect that's what he's driven by, is by the legacy of being an impactful person that did a remarkable thing versus the consequence that might have for society?
This moves the conversation from abstract technology to raw human ambition. Yampolskiy is suggesting that the race to AGI is being driven by egos that value legacy and power over the collective safety of humanity. The phrase, controlling the light cone of the universe, isn't hyperbole. It's a window into a mindset that views the creation of superintelligence as a conquest. When the motivation isn't caution, but a desire to win a race with existential stakes, safety becomes a secondary concern, a checkbox to tick for investors and senators, not a fundamental prerequisite. We are trusting the fate of our species to individuals who may be more interested in building a god than in protecting its creators. This is a gamble with 8 billion lives, and it exposes the fallacy of our perceived control.
I see that every time we have a conversation on the show about AI, someone says, can't we just unplug it?
Yeah, I get those comments on every podcast I make, and I always want to get in touch with a guy and say, this is brilliant. I never thought of it. We're going to write a paper together and get a Nobel Prize for it. This is let's do it. Because it's so silly. Can you turn off a virus? You have a computer virus, you don't like it. Turn it off. How about Bitcoin? Turn off Bitcoin network. Go ahead, I'll wait. This is silly. Those are distributed systems. You cannot turn them off. And on top of it, they're smarter than you. They made multiple backups. They predicted what you're going to do. They will turn you off before you can turn them off.
The unplug it argument is the ultimate security blanket for people who don't understand the nature of what's being built. We think of it as a single computer in a server room. Yampolskiy correctly points out that a true AGI would be a distributed, decentralized entity. It would exist everywhere and nowhere, like the internet itself. It wouldn't be a toaster you can unplug. It would be an ecosystem. More importantly, an intelligence vastly superior to our own would anticipate this move. It would have redundant systems, manipulate human actors to protect it, and secure its own power sources long before we ever perceived it as a threat. The idea of us holding the plug is a comforting illusion of control. By the time we realize we need to pull it, the plug will be controlling us.
That's why I think we are in one. That's exactly the reason. AI is getting to the level of creating human agents, human-level agents, and virtual reality is getting to the level of being indistinguishable from ours.
So you think this is a simulation?
I'm pretty sure we are in a simulation, yeah.
For someone that isn't familiar with the simulation arguments, what are the first principles here that convince you that we are currently living in a simulation?
So you need certain technologies to make it happen. If you believe we can create human-level AI,
yeah,
and you believe we can create virtual reality as good as this in terms of resolution, haptics, whatever properties it has, then I commit right now, the moment this is affordable, I'm going to run billions of simulations at this exact moment, making sure you are statistically in one.
This is where the conversation transcends our immediate reality. The simulation hypothesis isn't just a quirky thought experiment, it's the logical conclusion of the technological path we're on. If any civilization, anywhere, ever develops the capacity to create simulations indistinguishable from reality, they will likely create billions of them for research, entertainment, or reasons we can't fathom. The statistical probability of us being in the one base reality versus one of the billions of simulations becomes almost zero. This reframes the entire AI risk problem. We may not be the ones creating the first superintelligence. We might just be a program running inside a simulation created by one. It's a mind-bending idea, but it stems directly from the capabilities Yampolskiy is warning us about. The ultimate battle is here now. It's not a future war with robots. It is a present-day war of ideas between those racing to build this technology at any cost and those like Yampolskiy who are screaming that we are running towards an exit that is in fact a cliff. The stakes could not be higher. What's your take on this? Are we on the verge of utopia or oblivion? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more analysis that cuts through the noise.